I am Paul speaking for Free Range with Gail of Gaia, and today's program, Gail welcomes Sedona's #1 resource for CBD products, CBD Sedona. Acupuncturist Edward F. Gordon, LAC, and sound therapist Alia Kazan founded the CBD Sedona Clinic when they realized how much confusion their patients had about the proper use of CBD for maximum benefit. Their commitment to providing people with the best service and most up-to-date research and resources has quickly singled them out as one of the top resources for CBD acquisition and awareness. And now, please join Gail of Gaia as she welcomes Edward F. Gordon, LAC, and sound therapist Alia Kazan to the program.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we talk about any number of things and we graze on wild ideas. And the wild idea I got was to talk to a local business called CBD Sedona. And the very purpose of this is to help to educate people on the importance of CBDs, I mean, sorry, CDs are for music. But anyway, CBDs are for your body. And welcome, Edward and Alia. I don't know why I have a mental block about names sometimes. But anyway, these are both two very wonderful persons. And I'd like to have you explain a little bit about your store, where you sell these wonderful items that help people.
Well, hello, everybody. We're glad to be here. First of all, thanks, Gail. Yay. And CBD is a great topic, super powerful for helping people create health and vitality in their body and functionality in their flow. So we own a store called CBD Sedona here in Sedona, Arizona. We're a medical clinic. We're a retail store. We're a manufacturing company. We're into helping people. We're into creating higher awareness. We're into helping people not only create health in their bodies, but create health in their minds, health in their spirit, and thereby helping create health in the world. That's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, yes, that's excellent, as a matter of fact, which is one of the reasons why I decided to speak with you. I haven't done any shows with any of the local businesses, and you're the first one.
Oh, that's so sweet. We have a lot of gratitude for that. Thank you.
Because I just think that, cannabis has gotten a bad name over the years, and it never, it's coming out of it now, but it is still listed as a Schedule I drug, which is just absolutely crazy. But that goes because of the FDA largely. And that is an organization that I do not have any love for because I've been a nutritionist all my life. And they have been like a thorn in our side from day one. But anyway, let's talk a little bit more about some of the new discoveries that they have made in the benefits of CBD and what you found from the different people that I'm sure you have some testimonials, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It basically, our journey is kind of unique because when we opened our medical clinic, Eddie's an acupuncturist, herbalist for 20 years. I'm a sound therapist and work with light language and crystal bowls and real Sedona woo-woo stuff. And so we opened that. And then as Eddie's patients would come in, they'd start asking about CBD hemp oil. And we, at that time, didn't know a lot about it. Of course, we'd heard about it, but we didn't have any personal experience except with a couple kind of MLM things at the beginning of the trend that were pushing out. We tasted like, this doesn't really have any juice, whatever. Mm-hmm. But
and this is several years ago too.
Yeah, it was like 4 years ago or something.
When it was first getting going. Yeah. People didn't really know what it was yet. Even we didn't really know what it was that much. We were using it in our practice a little bit, but
well, there was a lot of propaganda to overcome too. because people have literally been
Yeah.
brainwashed about it in a negative way.
Well, it's related. It's connected to. It's a sister plant to the cannabis plant. So that being said, it kind of takes on a lot of the stigma that comes along with the cannabis. Unfortunately, since FDA, and all the Schedule Ones and all this has made cannabis illegal, then it starts to take on that kind of drug vibration, where it's about money and people, shooting each other and, you know what I mean? Smuggling and all this vibration, that goes along with cannabis and the drug industry. And people kind of equated that to CBD, okay, CBD, though, if it looks like the same plant, it's a cannabinoid, so is THC. So it must be evil drug, stuff. But, that fortunately is starting to go away. And also, like,
thank goodness. Because it's been a lie,
right? And actually, the THC stigma is starting to go away as well, because THC holds its own set of value, its own set of medicinal properties, as well as CBD does. Interesting fact, there's two sets of receptors in the body. You got your CB1s and CB2s. So it's like husband and wife. One set's for CBD, one set's for THC. So the plants, the cannabis plant is high THC to low CBD. And then it looks almost exactly the same as the hemp plant, which is high CBD, low THC. So they just they go to each of those sets of receptors, husband, wife, which is also an interesting thing, because we can talk about balance, and we're talking about everything's about balance, right? Everything you bring
and grounding.
Right? Grounding, right? Yeah. Bringing people back into wholeness. And so really, we accept cannabis, but our main focus is on CBD.
Well, that's wonderful, because that's what will open the door to cannabis as well. Because one of the things that happened when they made it against the law, they didn't differentiate between the two at all. No. And so hemp went against the law too. No. And our original Constitution is written on hemp paper. Isn't that ironic?
And we're going to take that, because we love that. That's amazing. Yeah. It used to be really common. People used to eat it. It used to be in their diets.
It's incredible nutritionally, from an essential fatty acid standpoint, as well as an amino acid standpoint. And yet here it has these healing properties as well. I used to tell people, you go to your doctor and ask them if they know about the endocannabinoid system. And if they say no, you need to get a different doctor.
That's exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Just in the 1980s is when it was discovered. So it's such a new wave of science and medical research. And I think what's really challenging is, because it's so new, we see these companies trying to make these decisions about breaking the plant up, isolating all the cannabinoids, isolating the terpenes, and then reconcocting some cocktail of what, I don't know, because our experience working with over 4,000 patients one-on-one, just to talk about CBD and how to properly take it, we know for a fact people come in and say, hey, I was on this stuff for 3 months, it worked amazing, and now it doesn't work anymore. Like, I've taken twice as much, I take 3 times as much, and just nothing's happening. And it's so fascinating, because none of our patients on our full spectrum hemp oil are reporting those kinds of results. They only report getting more and more improved health. And I'm super concerned for your readers and listeners, watchers here, because there's a disinformation campaign being waged right now, is just starting, that full spectrum hemp oil is not beneficial to our bodies. It's not the best way to take it, that the nano enhanced, reformulated, recalculated.
Of course. That's what the pharmaceutical companies do. They reformulate it, they tweak it chemically or otherwise, and then they get a patent on it, and then redistribute it, and also put out propaganda lies about the original natural product. So I know exactly what you're talking about. They do that in nutrition as well. So
this is unfortunately what I was just saying a second ago, this vibration that is associated with cannabis and associated with money. So there's these companies out there that all they care about is making money. So they have a product that they can't find a really good full spectrum, or they get cheap isolates, or they have some kind of source for a broad spectrum. So then they create all their marketing trying to bring forward this disinformation that isn't helping people. It's not getting people better. It's not empowering people. It's just trying to put money in their pockets, and thereby, just creating this disinformation campaign. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's, we're really like, full spectrum is the best you can get. It's got the full spectrum of the plant. It's made the way God created it. Everything you need is in there. You want to have it in its full glory of the way that it was created. Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. We are definitely on the same page, and I'm happy that, we're having this conversation, because people need to know this kind of thing.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that are kept from us by the mass media as well, because I don't know if you're aware, but the media is owned by 6 corporations, all of which, report the same exact thing.
Yes.
And they are, I hate to say this, but
FDA and connected to all the regulatory.
Right. And basically they're prostitutes for the big pharmaceutical companies. I hate to put it that way, but there couldn't be any better way to put it, because they take money from them, and that's why they promote their products and not natural products. And they've been against natural products throughout my entire career. I've seen them put herbal shops and stores and people that were doing wonderful work out of business, or drove them into going to another country in order to be able to practice, because they were true healers.
Yes.
And I find that very disturbing. So anyway, I'm not one of their fans.
That's what we hope your listeners are out there, when they hear kind of the truth behind it, when it's not the big money grab, then they can pass it on to others. We just hope, because we now, like the evolution of the last 3 years of working with treating people with CBD and seeing how their questions have changed over time. Originally it was like, what is it? Now most people have had exposure to it one way or another. Mostly it's going to be poor quality, not giving results. And then they just throw it away like, oh, well, that didn't work. That was a fake promise,
Yes, very true, very true.
And to try to convince somebody that, well, there is actually something that does work, but it does cost a little bit more, because it's actually natural, and it actually is extracted from the flower and not leaves and stems and everything else. And, there's a lot of education on the ground that we do in our clinic, and others that, do the same things we're doing. And, there is an understanding that full spectrum is the superior way to take CBD, but just this disinformation is really something we have to deal with. It's on a very national level with the media, exactly what you're saying. And now people are very confused.
Yes, and it's funny. I mean, you see people selling CBD at your local convenience store,
Oh, yeah.
You have to go, oh, wow, I
store.
wonder how much quality there is in that product.
Yeah, our local hardware store right down here has CBD on the front counter. And it was funny, because I went in there and, I was checking something out, getting some bolts or something, and which is what you're supposed to get at the hardware store. And I looked up at the CBD, and I looked at the guy behind the counter, and I said, hey, so, my back hurts. How should I take this? He goes, I don't know.
Exactly.
They're grabbing the money. That's all it's up. They just want the money from all the hype. So that being said, whether, you connect with us or connect with somebody, super, super important to look at who's bringing forward the product. Are they medical people? Are they dedicated to creating, abundance and really trying to help the people? Or are they just trying to get some money? Is it just a big company? We're a medical clinic. So, we were always dedicated to helping people from the get-go. And we just saw CBD as being an opportunity to help more people faster than just doing one-on-one sessions, acupuncture or sound therapy. We could help a lot of people and just really try to create some real change. And that's an important thing too. We can talk about that in a minute, about how CBD is creating world change as well. But
that's wonderful. And I love to give the platform to true healers and herbalists. And sometimes I don't even like the word medical, because we have an awful lot of medical people out there who are in it for the money too. I'm sorry to say that people can't believe that that could possibly happen with their doctor, but unfortunately, it's true. And as a matter of fact, I know this can be used with as treatment for people for a variety of conditions that are classified as medical, but yet when it comes to going to a regular medical doctor, they are not able to recommend anything outside of what I call cut, poison, or burn. So, for example, if you have the C problem, which I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about, they can't say, well, go take CBD. Go, or go, get some CBD or get medical cannabis. And they're not allowed to do that. They can lose their license by doing that. And that
It's a really cool thing to throw out on your program and to throw it out into the world. And that is, people talk about how CBD works and what it does for people and, conditions and things that it works on. The FDA gets all their feathers all fluffed up and everybody gets all freaked out. Bottom line, and this is for all the FDA people that are watching your show and for all the other people.
And they probably are.
They probably are. That is, CBD doesn't do any of that stuff. It doesn't heal cancer. It's not a pain reliever. It's not an anti-inflammatory. It's not an immune system builder. You know what CBD does? Bottom line, period. It makes your body work better. That's it. It by itself.
That's a great way of putting it. I like that. It does.
Makes your body work better. It works with the neuroreceptors in your body that create more balance in your own biochemistry. Homeostasis. It just makes your body work better. And your body takes care of all that stuff on its own. Your body's the best doctor you got.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And that was a God-given thing.
A God-given thing, just like the plant in its full form. What?
Exactly. It's like if you're out of balance, cannabis or CBD, I should say, can go in there and through the neuroreceptors provide what will bring it into balance.
Yes.
And that's different for everybody.
And it's different for everybody. And that's the beauty of it, is that we all need a little bit different tweak.
Exactly. And your body knows best.
It knows best, always. It knows
right.
best.
And just like patients or clients know best too, what works for them and what doesn't work for them.
Absolutely.
And they have come to rely on outside sources when in fact they should be relying more on their own inside sources and what they believe and know. Just like I've heard so many patients I used to work with in the past that would say that, well, the doctor wouldn't believe them or whatever, but you have to know yourself and be your own best physician. Doctors are great at trauma. I wouldn't want anyone else if I was in a car accident or something that.
I always tell people, if your arm's hanging off by a thread, don't forget acupuncture, right? Go to ER, man. Those guys are good at putting that back together.
Yeah, they're awesome. But when it comes to some of these chronic problems, it's a whole different story. So what's the story on terpenes? Can you tell me anything about terpenes, which are in the CBD products?
Yeah. There's the main ones, like, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, like curlafine, myrcene, limonene, pinene. These are all terpenes that come from pine, so pine trees.
And say this too, is first, before you go into heavy detail, basically the plant has a lot of constituents. So there's a whole bunch of things within the plant. So we always talk about CBD, we talk about cannabinoids.
I got a figure there. Okay. If you don't mind, I did a little research, 480 different compounds in the cannabis plant.
Right. So there's all these, right. It's amazing. It's an incredible plant. And there's more than that.
Probably that's just what they found.
That's just what they found. So there's more. So there's all these things in the plant. So you kind of look at it in different categories within the plant. And the terpenes is just one category within the plant. It's actually the part that gives it odor, and it's the part that it's actually the immune system of the plant. A lot of people don't really realize that. It's what keeps bugs away and keeps other things, keeps the plant healthy. But, that being said, the terpenes themselves are.
Yeah, and I was going to bring up basically what Gail brought up was just like, we have so little information about full spectrum hemp oil. And basically, they're deciding out of the 438, sorry, what you said,
Yes.
compounds, we're going to just take one of them. Like what kind of hubris is that to begin? Like, you think you even can begin to know what kind of complexity that you're dealing with? It's very, but
all these things work synergistically.
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
And that's what's missing. Now, another substance that I know is in there, I don't know if you have any information on this, but flavonoids, that's another one.
Right.
There's probably a whole body of different flavonoids that are, I forgot to turn that off on my other computer. But anyway, sorry about that. But anyway, that's pretty fascinating that this type of healing was taken from us in the name of profit for other companies. And again, I can't emphasize enough that what happens with pharmaceuticals is that they isolate frequently a single compound.
Right.
They tweak it or change it a little bit chemically so that they're able to get a patent on it for 20 years or so, and sell it and have an exclusive.
Yes.
But the body doesn't recognize it then.
No, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, it's interesting that you mention that, because when you're working with CBD, one of the things that you want to be aware of is drug interactions. And the reason that I bring that up right this particular second is because CBD, when it's in its natural form, when it's a full spectrum, what happens is your body takes it first. So the CBD uses a liver enzyme to metabolize, and other pharmaceuticals will use that same liver enzyme to metabolize, but your body will always take the CBD first. It recognizes it. It's natural. So then basically that liver enzyme becomes unavailable to metabolize the pharmaceuticals. And thereby, it's important for people, if they're taking pharmaceuticals, if they're going that route, that they talk to somebody who really knows what they're talking about, who can understand how to do the research with the pharmaceuticals so that they know what the drug interactions are. There's certain pharmaceuticals that, like cholesterol medications, there's some interactions with a couple of those. And if you're just dealing with your cholesterol, you got time to measure it, you got time to check it out, it's all good. But we've had some people come in that are on like blood thinners, some things like that, that, they had to deal with maybe a heart surgery, and they have
Rat
like a
poison.
Yeah, you're right. They might have been dealing with.
I hate to say that, but it's true.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better way. And I never understood why they used to tell us with certain herbs, well, don't take this herb, it might thin your blood. Well, why don't we use that for blood thinner then?
Yeah, no, it's totally true. It's totally true. I'm totally with you. And if we can get those people on the naturals, we love it. If we can, but some people do go the route, and they do want to try to do the natural mixed in with their pharmaceuticals. We see a lot of that. I mean, it is a process of people getting more awareness. And there's kind of a crossover where they have some natural, and some pharmaceutical, but hopefully we can get them into more and more natural,
or kind of phase them out of one and into the other,
exactly.
Little at a time. And everything's always safer that way.
Absolutely. But if they're still kind of in that middle ground somewhere, it's important to be able to find somebody that can not only help create a synergy between those two, but also help people guide them into that more natural place as well. So, yeah.
Well, what happens is we run into a lot of cognitive dissonance as a result of propaganda that has been purported for years from anywhere about, for health concerns, and that covers a whole spectrum of stuff.
Yeah, they want that dissonance because the powers that be want you to buy their stuff.
Exactly.
So it's it's business. That's how they see it.
Yeah,
but we see it as
with business, the bottom line is always what?
Money.
Exactly.
Money. Yes.
And when you're a healer, the bottom line should be
helping
health.
people. Yeah.
Health and helping the people, giving people the tools to be able to heal themselves.
Yes.
As much as is reasonably possible. I mean, obviously, I can't, if I break my arm or, I'm in a car wreck or something like that, I definitely need, the help of a doctor. However, for chronic problems. For many, many other things, there's a better way, and the natural way. And one of the reasons why I call myself Gail of Gaia, Gaia being the earth, is Mother Earth has provided us with everything we need. She really has. And
hemp's amazing because you can eat it, you can build buildings with it, you can make clothes out of it.
Yes,
out of it. It's your medicine. I mean, it's just off the hook, this stuff. Did I miss anything?
That is so true.
The
hemp plant is absolutely phenomenal. In fact, it was, I didn't get a chance to look up some of my old research on this because I did a show on hemp about 4 or 5 years ago in another state. And we talked about, I mean, in the early days, I mean, we got the Constitution being written on hemp paper. They have discovered you can make hempcrete, if you haven't heard of hempcrete,
for sure.
Which is a form of concrete that's actually stronger than concrete. Yeah. You can make a house, fiberboard or plasterboard or whatever that used to be out of hemp, and it actually resists mold, mildew, and bugs.
Yeah.
So awesome. I know, it's just one thing after another.
It was going to be $1 billion industry. And then that's when people like the Rockefellers, JP Morgan, and one other guy, I don't remember their name, probably Farbin or something like that. That's when they started this propaganda campaign against hemp.
Yes.
And lied. Yes. And targeted certain ethnic groups as being, misusing it and raping women and just ridiculous stuff.
Reefer madness.
Yeah, there. Thank you. I was trying to remember that. Anyway, but absolutely true. And but now the truth is coming out. The truth is coming out in every area of our life, and people are in for some mighty big surprises.
Indeed. Yeah, everything's coming out in a new way for sure. And the CBD has a very interesting quality of really allowing people to break patterning, and this is huge. So
yes, it is. Go on that.
20 years in herbology, and I've never seen an herb that breaks nervous system patterning. That means it actually will allow you to do things in a different way. So when we look at it more like health issues, you look at like patterning of inflammation or dysfunctionality or tension, these kinds of things. But you can also start to look at it in terms of patterns of biochemistry, general functionality, but then you can also start to look at it in patterns of emotional movement. So how you're seeing the world, how you're making your decisions, but then you can also see it in patterns of like spirituality and the way that you're moving through, really connecting with who you really are. So CBD, not only are we all those other things we mentioned.
That makes a big threat there, right there.
But it also gives you the opportunity to maybe start to do things in a slightly different way. So those things that you've had a hard time trying to get through, so that you can really start to live a more aligned life. You start to really gain more access to that. So in this way, I mean, I really see CBD and I see hemp and THC, the cannabis as well, all as having a real big role to play in changing the way we foundationally see our world, foundationally the way that we're working with and accepting some of these things that are so obtrusive and so, really trying to shut us down, and even listen, and I want to say this, even those people that are out there trying to shut everybody down, even the big corporations, even all these people that are money driven, that's all patterns. They're only doing it because they have a pattern in their brain that somehow they think that's going to make them happy, that somehow they think they're going to have a better life if they make more money and overfish the oceans and do whatever they think they got to do. Mm-hmm. CBD can help, if we can break those patterns and get people on a different flow, we can really create some big change here.
That is going to make me have to say something else here because the patterning that you talk about is creating new pathways with neurons and so on. And it's very interesting that during the course of my research on this topic, and this brings in a rather difficult topic, and that's human and child sex trafficking. One of the things that they would do with people is they would let them have any drug they wanted, but not cannabis. And the reason for that was stated by Kathy O'Brien, and anyone can look this up because she explains about it, is that it breaks it breaks the mind control patterning.
Yes. Yep.
Because like you said, it's creating different pathways. So, because these people get to be very programmed to do
Yes.
whatever they're told, no matter what.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had a guy
Get
on
them
too.
CBD. Sorry.
Yeah.
You gotta get them CBD.
Exactly. So, but that's why it was kept from them.
Yes.
Because it would break that mind control pattern. Now, here's another reason to take CBD. I don't know if you're aware of nanotech.
Yes.
Okay. Well, not only have we been rained on with it through chemtrails, and some people will call that a conspiracy theorist. I've been called that as a result of that. But I also know a scientist from Germany who has analyzed Harold Katz. And I have a 3-part series, which I would encourage you to watch.
Awesome.
About that sort of thing. It has gotten to the point that we have been saturated so much with it that it is in our brain, and there's little, I can't say the word, it's PSI crystals, but they're nanoparticles, and they actually light up, and they're creating pathways, and they're actually co-opting a portion of our brain as a result, which will result in more mind control, which can happen through different frequencies, and you probably know what frequency I'm talking about. I'm reluctant to talk about or to say that particular one because they'll shut us down, but or very well could be. But people need to be aware of this because it's also in, the large big food companies are responsible for actually putting it in any of the liquids, the nanotech. So the more we get back to local farm markets, our local farmers, natural food that doesn't have a list that's 6 inches long as to all the ingredients in it and so on, that, the closer we get back to nature and to eating wholesome foods, the better off we'll be. But CBD is very important for these mind issues that are going on in our brain with this nanotech, because this nanotech is self-assembling. It's almost like little robots, it's bizarre. And I believe, I can't say I can point to a study of this, but the CBDs, just based on the fact that it creates homeostasis, will create other pathways. And
bypass.
I think it was actually meant to be a part of our regular intake. Why do we have receptor sites for cannabinoids?
Exactly. I mean, there you go. There's nothing more to say.
What more can you say?
There's carvings on the walls in Egypt of a bowl that has a hemp flower coming out of the bowl. And as far as we know, the Egyptians did not use the psychoactive aspect of cannabis for any kind of religious thing or like for mind altering purposes. So that leads you to believe, and since it's in a bowl, that they used it as medicine, as food. I mean, this has been in our diets as far back as people can go. People have,
exactly, and it didn't have all the stigma attached to it that got attached to it in order to satisfy pharmaceutical companies. And that's a real shame. And it was even used for medicine. I have seen old bottles.
Yes, that's right. Tinctures, just like we're selling now.
Yes.
Well,
so
Eddie has a good story about when the Hearst sort of shut down the hemp production for the paper.
Yeah, that's the other name. Thank you. That's the other name I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
Hearst. Yes. Because of paper.
Yes, it was paper. It was for the fiber for mostly. It was fiber for paper, and it was also cotton industry. Those were the two main.
Rockefeller was for the standard, for oil products and so on.
Yes.
And Hearst was the paper products.
Yes. And that was where Reefer Madness was created by those guys. You can trace it back to those guys.
Yes. Thank you.
So, and it stuck, and people were like, oh, let's create laws and.
But what's crazy is when you see that prohibition during the 30s, you begin to see the rise of all the diseases we have now that are common, the cancers and et cetera, that we weren't seeing as much as in our ancestors. And
all the immune system
concurrently,
problems.
the rise of the pharmaceutical industry, right along, two things going right up beside each other. So
and right
Exactly.
down at the same time.
very
right?
interesting how
Yeah.
You can see the same
coincidentally-
thing. You can see the same thing with GMO products. Like you would
Yes.
never want to get a GMO cannabis or CBD
Right.
either.
Oh my
Right,
God.
absolutely.
And I do hear that that's part of a plan as well, sort of to hijack the whole cannabis industry with
Of course.
these GMO seeds that would not have the same constituents as we have now. So I highly recommend everybody save as many seeds as you can whenever you find them, hemp or cannabis, just because we just don't know how far it's going to go. You know?
Well, exactly. Look what they did to our farming industry. Our small farms were all bought up, and we have major big ag and big food, and it's not healthy.
It's
In
good
fact-
to have seeds in general. I mean, you should have some seeds. Like everybody should have seeds.
Yeah, see, they GMO it, and they want you can only buy the seed from them, and you can't save any seeds.
No.
They did this to farmers. I saw that. I came out to speak against GMO all the time, but I didn't come and drive up in a Mercedes Benz and have a beautiful 3-piece suit and all these fancy brochures and everything. And these people come out like that, and they, it looks like they're just the most professional, wonderful people around, and they're out there lying to you. Yeah, our food has been co-opted by these people, and we really need to call for a nutritional analysis on all our foods all over again.
Agreed.
Our soils were depleted of minerals in the 40s, and that was brought before Congress, and it's only gotten worse over the years.
Here's a fun fact about hemp. Hemp is one of the only plants that both give nutrition back to the soil and detox the soil. So you don't have to rotate the crops. And what we found in our research of working with the different farms and the hemp oils when we get them, is that the longer the strain is growing, the stronger and stronger and stronger it gets. The constituents just get richer. And so when we first started selling CBD oil, we were having to get it from a company that imported it from Germany. And those farms were 25-year-old at the time, 25-year-old farms. And nothing in the United States is that old, because the hemp wasn't even allowed to grow in the pilot program until like about 8 years ago. So our farms are very new hemp farms. And so when people think they're going to just roll out, I'm buying 500 acres of tobacco and rolling it into hemp and blah, blah, blah. Those fields aren't going to be producing quality hemp oil for years. And that's one of the problems, why there's so much quote junk CBD, or it's just baby, it's like baby plants, like it just hasn't gotten the enrichment, that happens when it grows and grows and grows. So we're going to have better quality as the crops mature. But what's cool news is that it's feeding this ground that has been depleted, especially in the South, just detoxes all the chemicals out of the soil. So to reclaim our soil and farms, you can use hemp to really detox and start again,
Do you know what they planted around Chernobyl?
Hemp.
Hemp. Exactly, because it absorbs the radiation.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It heals everything.
It does. It heals the ground. It heals our bodies.
It heals everything.
It does. It's just
I bet
amazing.
it's cleaning the air too.
An estimated projection that I picked up on too was by 2022, CBD will probably be used by 44% of the population.
Yay.
Oh yeah.
Hallelujah. As long as it's full spectrum.
Yeah.
Yes, and organic.
GMO.
Organic is very
Organic.
important too. I mean, if it's organic, then it can't be GMO. But
Right.
we don't want them using pesticides on it. It has natural, it does that by itself. It doesn't need that, but then you have the problem of greed that, you don't want to lose one single leaf and, which is a normal process.
Right.
So anyway, that's really important. What about, have you had any experience with any of your people using the CBD to get off of painkillers,
Oh yeah.
opiate addictions? Yes.
Really fabulous results with that.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely awesome too, because that's so important. But those opioids were approved by the FDA, weren't they?
Yeah. And certain pharmaceutical companies paid off doctors. There was an expose AARP did about this pharmaceutical company. It was, I think, responsible for 8,500 people's deaths because of doctors prescribing and being pushed, financially paid to prescribe. And these people died. And the guy's getting like serving 5 years in prison and probably some mansion prison, and it's just like, really? That's like a mass murder, like unbelievable.
Exactly.
But it's
Exactly.
just like, we're all freaked out about COVID, but 8,500 people die from opiates, and we're just like, oh, slap on the wrist. Sorry. Oh, we
Yeah.
took a,
Well, I'm hoping that these cabal doctors and these cabal bribers are all going to be taken down here eventually. I'm praying anyway that they are. Even this doctor in the front lines over the CV thing. If you look into the history there, because I had a show with Judy Mikovits, I'm not sure which way it is correct. But anyway, not a good source of information. And unfortunately, we have so many people glued to the corporate media that's owned by only 6 corporations, as I mentioned earlier, that is feeding mostly propaganda and not truth. And so people have to do their own research. And right now, even research is being difficult on the internet because of the censorship. And, Google, Facebook, and Twitter, they're all in bed together. They were just in Congress, Zuckerberg was talking about that sort of thing. But it's all coming out. It's all starting to come out because we have a lot of what we call digital soldiers and digital warriors out there that are getting the real news out. And I like to consider myself one of those as well, because if I don't know it myself, I find guests who do know about things like you guys know about the CBDs and how important it is. And having as large of a patient population as you've had and having positive results, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, we did it through questioning what's going on with our patients because there's no manual of how to, dispense CBD. So we're just talking to the people and getting the information back. And so we have real world. This is not just a theory, we know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was going to say,
they call that anecdotal.
Yeah, anecdotal. Oh, the facts of reality don't really matter.
Yeah,
but
just like a mother doesn't know what she's talking about, right?
Yeah. But regarding like the opiates, what people need to know is there's a correlation of how you, first of all, highest quality possible CBD has, excellent makeup in terms of the chemical composition, like all the, like you're talking about the flavonoids, the terpenes, all the different cannabinoids. And then it's about the proper dosing. And, that's where it gets a little tricky. You do need a lot to break these patterns of addiction with something like an opiate. You may be taking 50 milligrams a day, 75 milligrams a day.
For a period.
For a short period or a little bit, depending on how long the conditions existing. And then, we've been able to see so many patients get off of them. It's just been amazing. But, it helps to have a doctor you're working with or a medical professional you're working with to help guide you in the process. We always tell people, try this. We give them a range of options of how to take it. Try this, call us in 2 weeks, tell us what's going on. And then they call us and then we perhaps tweak what we suggested or whatever's working perfectly, just keep going with that. So, that's a really important thing to know. It's not just like take it when you want it or, it does not work that way. And I think a lot of people don't get the benefit of CBD because they don't know how to properly take it.
With the idea that it's patterning. So it's just like any addiction, if you don't stay consistent in changing the patterning of anything, especially an addiction, opioids, anything, then it immediately goes back to the old pattern. So
yeah, because those are the established neuronal lines, so to speak.
And the body loves patterning. It's patterning isn't a bad thing. It's just the way the body's built. It's about efficiency and evolution. The body doesn't want to expend any extra energy. Like, in other words, if you have an inflammation and you have it for more, because we know 21 to 27 days is what it takes for the brain to pattern. if it stays inflamed for that period of time, the body puts it onto autopilot because it doesn't want to expend energy. It's all about efficiency. And so the body patterns all these things in, and you got to be really consistent and you got to really stick with it. And if you do that, you can actually change a pattern. And this is the really cool thing, is that you repattern the way that you want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, and
Yes,
then for you,
that
then
makes
it's
so
really
much
hard to get
sense.
rid of it, you know? And that's really, you know, so the addictions, yeah, all those things, you got to stay super consistent. And that being said too, it also kind of implies that even if you're living the life that you want, want to be really aware of what you're doing, you know, because anything you do that's going to be out of balance, and if you do it for longer than 30, 60 days, it's going to stick. You know, if you're at a job that you don't like, you know, and you're upset and you're anxious, if you stay in that fight or flight for 60 days, 90 days, it's going to pattern, you know.
Mhm.
If you eat
That's why
crap,
people end up staying in things that they hate, when in
exactly,
fact they should get out and do
exactly.
something else, but
Yeah,
they're
locked into the
afraid
pattern.
to,
Yes.
or they're stuck in this pattern and they can't seem to get out. And the best
Yeah.
thing for them to do would be to get out. But
And
we're
the
going to
body
have a lot of
actually is
change coming forward here in the
Yes,
near
we are.
future,
Yes, we are. And we're going to need to have that power to be able to shift.
Sure. And change, yeah. And
Yeah.
and you know what? And that is probably where CBDs can play a very important role
Absolutely.
in
I use it
helping
for
that.
I use it not only for my health, but for like my meditations. You know,
Yes, let's go into that a little bit. Do you have others that have had that experience? And
I
tell me
have
about it.
talked to many patients about using it. Well, we can say this, not necessarily on meditation, but for things like anxiety and breaking those patterns. So we've talked to a lot of people that have had really, really good results with being consciously aware, consciously shifting their patterns and their triggers for their anxiety, and using CBD as kind of a helpful amplifying tool to facilitate that process. So it's been very, very cool. We haven't really pushed it on the meditation, but for me, I love it because my meditations are all about breaking old perceptions and breaking,
Mhm.
old limitations within my own mind. And so I always take a little bit of CBD before I start to help me facilitate that. And it works really good for me.
I think the same thing myself. And breaking those patterns are our self-responsibility. We're always looking outside of ourselves instead of inside of ourselves. And the type of thing that you're talking about when you're talking about meditation, when you're talking about that, changing patterns or changing cognitive dissonance or what
Yeah.
have you, or things that trigger you, that cause anxiety or keep you up all night, or things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you just said, it's part of our purpose, right? That's part
Yes.
of the job, right?
Yes, yes,
That's what we're here to
exactly.
do. Yeah. I get excited.
Exactly. That's wonderful. Well, I am so happy that you guys are doing what you're doing and have a place that offers quality products to people, because that's very important. And you do pay for quality. I mean, it's not the cheapest is not always the best, even though people tend to gravitate towards that.
Definitely with CBD, cheaper is not better.
Yeah, cheaper, you won't get any results, and then you'll think, well, this was a bunch of hooey,
And then you lost access. That's a killer.
Yeah, because that really is so unfair to what the real truth is, actually, and because it has. It's been proven in many studies. There's a lot more studies out there. There isn't enough studies, and one of the reasons for no studies was because they made it against the law. You couldn't even study it in this country. A lot of the studies came forward in other countries.
Yeah.
Even the one on THC, I remember in particular, there was a doctor in Spain who did some studies on THC.
Israel as well.
In Israel, and proved its benefits, and it helps
Yes.
to get certain things into the cells,
Yes.
and so on. So we've been restricted, and that restriction was intentional, so that it wouldn't be any competition for the pharmaceutical companies, who seem to have a stranglehold on most Americans. Too many are taking too many drugs, and yet we're restricted from taking supplements or herbs that could be of great benefit. And so, but I think our world is changing.
Yeah. That's a pattern we're changing right here, right now.
Yes. And another reason why I wanted to have you on, and I was happy. I didn't know you were an herbalist too. So that, and a sound technician. I had a sound healing session myself not too long ago. And
Great.
it was wonderful. I had visions and everything. It was really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
She does
take
amazing
way out.
work. So
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah. So yeah.
Take out.
That's a whole nother area we might have to
It's a
cover
whole
another
nother
time.
area.
Another show. We'll do some demonstrations. Yeah, he does acupuncture with crystal bowls. Is unbelievable. So
Sound
yeah,
as well, yeah. And we actually infuse all of our products,
very important.
everything that we do, everything that comes in, we infuse it with sound vibration.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's important.
This
We
is
need to know
important.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need to know
That
that.
makes it stand out.
really makes it
That's
stand
different,
out.
and it makes a difference.
Huge difference.
We use like a shungite crystal bowl that has a frequency of shungite amplified, and then that entrains the actual oil we get from the farm with the shungite frequency, with gold frequency, with platinum frequency, with ruby frequency, frankincense, and then crystals. And then we invoke the power of Thunder Mountain as well, where we have
anybody who's not from Sedona may not know Thunder Mountain.
Capital Butte on the
It's
mountain.
it's kind of the centerpiece for Sedona for all of us. Here, yeah.
Yes.
That adds a little oomph to it. For sure. I think, but plus our prayers and intentions, that is the best medicine for the person taking it, because everybody's so individual. So we just intend that, it will work for them and it will give them a benefit and bring them back to wholeness. And just personally on a spiritual, metaphysical level, doing that kind of work, I feel like CBD is going to be one of the ascension tools, most important ascension tools, because it's like spirit is getting people in with the pain card. I'm in so much pain. I'm in so much pain. Oh, here, try this, bam. And now they're ingesting light. And I have to say, when we just started working with the CBD, and this became really amazing to me, like what it's really about, like behind the scenes, what the hemp plant's about. This gentleman had been a cancer survivor. He was in his early 80s. He was here with his family, like tourists, visiting our place. And his eyes were like shooting like rays of light out of his eyes. I'm like, what is with this guy? And he was very nimble and kind of like floating around, like kind of these monks that float above the air. I mean, energetically, he felt like that. And then he started talking to me about how he had cured his cancer with marijuana and then also with CBD. And so he'd been on CBD at that point 3.5 years. And it was the longest I'd ever seen somebody had been on CBD, because it was so new still. Like this was about 2.5 years ago. So he'd been on it like 6 years ago. And I went, that's what CBD is doing. It is literally bringing light into your body. And it's because it's regenerating us. It's literally regeneration. It's not just numbing the pain. Or
I
just
like that word.
body.
I like that word a lot. That is good. Yes.
And we are light naturally. So
It's very exciting.
If you're regenerating your body, you're regenerating your ability to be naturally who you are as light, as higher awareness, as in alignment with your purpose, all these things.
And the corporations are doing, and the satanic organizations are doing everything they can to steal our light.
Mm-hmm.
And CBD is a way to regenerate our light.
Yeah.
As much as possible. And that's the same with whole living foods too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same. And
very
whole living
important
activities as well.
Yes, exactly. That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have any more questions at this point in time. Do you have anything else you want to add? Why don't you tell people how to get a hold of you and the location of your store? Anyone that is not from Sedona, they could contact you and still get your products, because not every place that has CD is going to have it infused with sound, intention, and frequency.
That's true.
Or all of the above.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. Okay.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, thank you so much, Gail. It was amazing to be on the show. We're at CBD Sedona. We're at 2081 West State Route 89A in Sedona, Arizona. We're at the Harkins Movie Plaza.
If you're in town, come see us.
Yeah, but we're available online at cbdsedona.com. All our products are available, and we offer everybody who purchases products on our website a complimentary consultation just to make sure how to take it properly and make sure that what we recommend or what you're buying is actually going to really help you, because that's our most important thing, is to get you help. We are not a grocery store selling tomatoes and coffee and CBD. I mean, we are both. That's all we do. It's what our focus is. We're expert at dispensing it, and we would love to just help you get as best results as you can possibly get. So, and our number
and
is 928.
Yeah, go do the
phone
number.
928-282-1067.
And website, CBD.
I'll put that in the description of the video too,
Okay.
so people will have it there as well.
And we always keep track of our people. We consider all of our people to be patients, as we are a clinic. So we always do a lot of follow-up. We always want people to call us with any questions or problems. We're also super available to anybody. Even if you're online, we can create, dosage protocols, which vary as your life varies. So we keep in contact with people.
So you're more than a 10-minute wonder, right?
More than a 10-minute wonder. We really take care of our peeps. And
You know what I mean.
if anybody just wants to ask us about anything, they're always welcome to call us or email us at thrive@cbdsedona.com as well. There's a lot of easy ways to get connected to us.
There was one other thing that I'm going to add to this that I meant to ask you earlier, and it slipped my mind. But I noticed too, before we close this off, that not only do you have the CBD products that people might use for pain or otherwise, but you also have what some could consider cosmetic type products for the face and so on.
The skincare.
Skincare. Thank you.
Yeah, I developed a skincare line just because I'm a person that's a DIY type person, and I've been making toner for myself since I was a teenager. And it basically started with tweaking a toner I had with CBD and frankincense, and I got these crazy anti-aging results, and it's 100% natural product. And so I shared it with a couple other women friends of mine, and they all reported amazing results. And so I sort of took that theory and created 9 products, mostly organic, all natural, and actually effective anti-aging skincare.
Well, now I'm going to have to come in and get some.
Definitely. I will be happy to give you free samples all the time. We have our free samples. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad I brought that up because I that really caught my attention when I was in your store.
Oh yeah.
I thought, wow, I haven't seen this before. And so that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And when I get this out of post-production, I will definitely send you a copy.
Thank you so much,
I'm
Gail.
so grateful. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. I'll be in and I'll see you again. I'm going to try some of those skin products.
Okay, good. There's a lot for you to try.
Okay.
Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful rest of your day.
Gail.
Thank you so
You
much.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This program is not intended to treat, diagnose, prevent, or cure any disease and should not be considered medical advice. The statements herein have not been evaluated by the FDA. The opinions expressed are those of the guests and not necessarily the opinions of Free Range, its producers, principals, or staff. Viewers are directed to consult professional sources before acting on any information presented here.